Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're checking out Foudre, which is a secondary build French battleship, pirate ship at that, and a new commander here, Latier. Okay, now ATBA damage, that's secondary. I don't know why they changed the name, but in the business we call it secondary shell damage. And here's a unique slot 4 perk. Fire duration while the damage control is on cooldown, up to 10% reduction, and flood damage to your ship constantly. 10% reduction. So, interesting there. Tried in domination mode is the game. And I got home from work here. We knew that I got a ping on the Discord earlier. Showed up on my phone. Okay, we got some pirate stuff. Okay, we'll go home and check it out. I get set down before I get dinner put together. I'm reading about it. Okay, we got basically the Jean Bart. All right, we shaved a little bit off the range. It's a kilometer in my build between the Foudre and the Jean Bart. We shaved off some accuracy, 0.2 signal. Okay, well, that's not going to be a long-term or a long-range sniper necessarily, but it's not how I want to use these type ships anyways. But it's got a huge secondary range. In fact, I think we're about 10.5 on this build here, which I said to myself, well, that sounds pretty dang. So, you know, excitement. No doubt about it. That said, you know, plop down, start playing it, and it is a fun ship. I like to put the Jean Bart up close anyways. Jean Bart, if you don't know it, very sturdy front armor plating. So when we're in tier 6, tier 7 games, there's not a lot that's going to be able to knock you around, as if you're pointing at what's shooting at you. If you start getting surrounded, okay, you become a little bit more vulnerable, but, you know, good capability. We got good speed. We can get around the map. And all of a sudden now we got a very long-range secondary build. Not quite as long as some of the Germans, but it's up there, you know, and it's viable. So that sounds pretty fun to me. And I have been having a lot of fun playing it tonight. We played about 6-7 games, I don't know what it was. And, you know, it is what it is. Now, what's going on with these secondaries? Well, you can see those 3 big turrets at the back of the ship when we zoom back out here in a moment. Those turrets look almost like main gun batteries, but they don't really move unless they're engaged. Those are secondaries. That's half your secondary firepower. Look at the firing angles on that, though. Maybe 1 or 2 of those secondary guns, maybe more even though we're mostly pointed at them. Once we're fully pointed at them, they won't be able to shoot anymore, but mostly pointed at them, we can still get nice firing angles. So the side secondary guns, very generous in terms of what they can shoot at, and they all have the good range on them as well. But the back guns, that's where the heavy firepower is. The side secondary is very small caliber, low damage, all right? And I think we'll post a bull bite later today showing the secondaries a little bit more up close and personal. You can see what they perform like in that instance. And if you're not familiar with bull bites, it's the second channel here. Check the link in the description to join there. Lots of World of Warships content on there anyways. But, you know, nevertheless, they're not the most powerful secondaries known to man. I'd have to play the Italians and these kind of back to back to back to back for a while to figure out which ones I prefer. The Italians, you really got to get up close and personal, which is fine. But these ones, not huge damage, okay? So it is what it is. I don't think the French... A lot of you guys have been kind of telling me, okay, keep putting secondary builds on the French battleships. I put them on a few, and they're kind of fun. But in terms of raw performance, they don't tend to do as well. But nevertheless, you know, if you got a ship that's capable of doing secondary builds, you might as well use it right. And that said, when this really shines, and I think we actually see it in this game. Now, in this game, we don't have the secondary mod consumable, and we can switch out the engine boost. And after this game, I did do that, and I like that better. Just kept forgetting to put it on the first couple times I played it. But that's when those back guns are going to be very dangerous. And if the destroyers try and sneak up on us, torpedo us, they get spotted. Those secondaries are capable of shredding them, doing a lot of damage. If you have the module available, the consumable, secondary consumable, that goes up even more. That enhances the accuracy, and it, you know, does more damage, I believe, or boosts the reload. I can't remember exactly how it works, but very effective nonetheless. So that's how I would set this up. And that's when those guns are going to shine. Now, you can maybe try turning this thing around and fighting, you know, like if I'm engaging this clumped up mass of red, which I don't know why they're all huddled 2.5 squares north of the nearest cap. But nevertheless, that's the position they've taken. Now, as I'm playing it, they're going to have a hard time damaging pretty much everything about the ship except the turrets, which constantly get knocked out unless you do a good job angling. The turret traverse is slower than the John Bart, by the way, which makes angling in between shots a little bit harder. The turrets, I'm talking about actually physically turning the turrets to one side of the ship or the other, so they're not the flat fronted sides of these turrets aren't constantly getting shot when you're on the main battery reload. A little bit harder to do in this than the Jean Bart. But nevertheless, that's kind of how this is durable. Maybe it would be as durable facing rearward, but the problem is the guns point forward, right? And if we fight rearward, which I can't remember if we do in this game or not, I don't think so, but I have done it tonight, you can do it, but it's just harder to do. You gotta, angle, or de-angle, I should say, a little bit more just to get the guns actually on target. So, try it out. Let me know how it works. Put it in the comments if you give it a whirl. But in general, I think those back guns are going to be mainly used defensively against surprise ships that show up behind you. You can intentionally get this thing in between two sets of ships as well. I've tried to do that. I haven't got it to work yet, but that's another reasonable way to attempt to get all the secondaries firing at once. So here we are. There's the destroyer. We weren't sure after he captured B if he'd try and go south or north around A to try and nuke me. He ended up going south. Not a big issue. So overall, I mean, in terms of what the ship actually does on paper, it's pretty John Bart-esque. How I play both the ships would be roughly the same anyways. But here we're just kind of really trying to make sure we're moving forward, getting the secondaries going off all the time. Here we get the destroyer shooting so far from cover. I think he's got smoke active, but if we can get him out of there, maybe we can see if these things do some damage. There we have the third fire and the fire prevention perk, legendary tier, far superior to our will to rebuild, in my opinion. Now we go ahead and take that third fire off and continue forward. Trying to get the Nelson within range here. We'll see these secondaries once again kick in soon. These punishing guns, we can definitely shred them with those as well. Here comes the Summers, and you can see no secondary mod booster. These longer range secondary shots are going to be much less accurate. Okay, and that's why I really am a huge advocate of using that aspect of the builds when you're going all in on the secondaries, because even though all the other stats can be great, you can boost the range, you can boost the rate of fire damage now, you can even boost the fire chance if you got it, one of those ARP commanders or whatever it is, it's Azure Lane Fuso, I believe. You got plenty of options on how to do it, but without that mod, we're still kind of longer range, going to be missing a lot of shots. You miss half the shots that you would with that, then you do half the damage. Doesn't matter how much you boost the rest of the build. Okay, and if, you'd like another heal, sure, but generally we're trying to cause problems for the team with these secondaries, not stay alive to the end of the match. We're here to make our mark and get in, get out. All right, so we're seeing some success in the Summers, but I tell you, since I've switched over with the other consumable, the rear gun performance at range much more impressive. You can see the values, though, the damage when we're hitting these lightly armored destroyers and even cruisers get some good respectable damage values. But battleships, which is a lot of what our secondaries are going to be shooting, frankly, the side secondaries not that effective. I haven't gotten the back ones on yet. Those will probably be a little bit more effective in terms of dealing damage, but generally against those ships we're just trying to accrue fires and gain an advantage that way. So the Summers continues to fire here. He had us on the ropes. We got a heal off, and now our secondaries are going off again, and he's letting the crew off. That's a sign of a true gentleman. You know you're going down. We love to see it on this channel. Go ahead, park your ship on the beach. Say, anyone who wants to get off, get off. I'm going down with the ship. I'm the captain. This is my pickle that I've gotten us into. It's not your guys' fault. Just go ahead and get off. All right, so go ahead and do that. Got some more shots on him. And trying to close in here. The destroyer, he's shooting. He's trying to get the kill, but we'll go ahead and fire there. 1 set, 2 set, and I believe we'll secure the final ship. Final kill. So overall, fun ship, and I think worth checking out if you're into the mood to spending the money. So that's a look at the Foudre for you guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming for you all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.